Okay, right guys, so I want to take you through the process that we go through as underwater photographers to get prepared for diving. So we've arrived at site, we've driven 12 hours north to the northwest of Scotland. We're at Strom Ferry on Loch Carron. We're going to dive the Narrow there. The sky is clear, so I'm going to shoot wide angle today because we've got some sun. It does make a difference when you're underwater, whether it's cloudy or sunny. You're going to get the same kind of light underwater, and we're all chasing light. So here we are. We're at the shore of Loch Carron. We're going to go down to 18 meters. The water temperature is 10 degrees. The air temperature is a balmy 18 degrees. And we've got to assemble all our kit now. So we're going to start with the dive equipment and then we'll go on to the camera equipment.
So starting off with my steel cylinder, it's a 300 bar steel, so 4,500 PSI. I like smaller, heavier tank, just nice balance on my back. This is affectionately referred to as a BC or buoyancy compensator. This offsets the positive buoyancy from all the insulation that I need to wear under my dry suit to stay warm. So I'm going to attach that to the cylinder. Clip around the top to stop it sliding down. And you can see from the back there's just a band on there. It's fairly tight. I won't tighten it for real, but there's a Velcro strap on there that locks onto. It's nice and tidy. Right, so that's the buoyancy compensator. This is used for flotation on the surface, and I can adjust air. I don't normally put air in this when I'm diving in cold water. I use that in my dry suit, but that's kind of another thing that I'll talk about when we're outside of the video. Got my compass on here. I've got clips for my various bits and pieces, and a second stage regulator, which is my backup. That's my main regulator. This is called the first stage. It's solid brass, so it doesn't oxidize. There's a little O-ring in there, and that goes into the yoke on the cylinder. Just screw that on. So this isn't a friction fit. This is just using the O-ring to seal the pressure from the cylinder. So I just line that up, make sure it's nice and straight. Right, and then it's all nice and straight, everything lined up. No, it's not quite lined up, so I'm just going to shift that. These little things get awkward underwater if they're not perfectly aligned. So there we go, that's fairly straight. I'm going to turn the air on now. And if I look at my gauge, it's not quite 300 bar, so I would probably top this cylinder up with my compressor again. I don't know if you can quite see that, but it's reading 270 bar. And I do have a computer as well, which wirelessly, there's a little pod on here. It will wirelessly connect 267 bar, it's telling me here. So I've got a computer to monitor my air as well as a analog mechanical contents gauge. I need to connect my low pressure inflate so I can put air into my BC if needed. And that's used primarily as in cold water diving anyway for staying afloat on the surface. And then I've got a handy little dump valve there that'll let the air out. Alrighty, so we've got the cylinder turned on, we've got the BC attached. I'll just show you a couple of the things. I never dive without a compass, especially if you're diving in the dark or you're diving in gloomy conditions. Compass is absolute necessity in my opinion. Also, I showed you the regulator here. This breaks down, this is called the first stage, it's solid brass. It breaks the pressure down to ambient pressure, and then I can breathe that ambient pressure off the second stage regulator, which goes in my mouth. So that's there, and then I have a redundant second stage which is attached to my BC. Sometimes you'll see secondary hoses on here. I don't use that configuration. And then I've got another inflate hose which goes into my dry suit. So that's the cylinder. This probably weighs about maybe 20, 25 kilos, something like that in the cylinder. Then I've got some other bits and pieces. I've got neoprene gloves and mitts if it's cold enough. I've got a 7mm neoprene hood. I've got a computer, which I think I showed already, and that tells me my depth and time, temperature, can even tell me the direction, and it will tell me how much air time I've got left before I have to worry about decompression. And then I've got a surface marker buoy. If I'm diving out of a boat, I always want to have this, because before you surface, you fill this up with air underneath the water and then let that go. That goes in my BC pocket. And then mask, obviously, self-explanatory there. Silicone mask. And then I've got some fins. These are rather unusual fins, but I've been using them for 30 years now, and I'm quite fond of them. They're pretty indestructible. They're easy to take on and off, and they're very compact. And then the other item on the ground here is a weight harness, and that's about 12.5 kilos. So if you do the math, if that's about 25 kilos or so, and this is 12 kilos, well, that's how much weight that I have to carry, and we haven't even got a camera in the hand yet. So that's the dive equipment piece of it at really high level. We can talk about street level details when we're outside the video.